Today we're ranking 1 mana blue spells on a tier list. And by spells, I mean anything basically except creatures. Instants, sorceries, completely fair game. So let's start off with Brainstorm. A pretty classic card, a blue instant. Draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. This is actually so ubiquitous, that's why it's called brainstorming. When you like Jace for 0, that's a brainstorm. So the fact that, so you're going to draw 3 cards, you got to put 2 cards back, which means you can put 2 garbage cards from your hand back on top of your library, which includes like lands that are completely useless, or any dead cards that are not good for the matchup. Now, here's the deal though. This card is not super great if you are not running fetch lands. The whole idea, or some sort of shuffle effect. The whole deal is you put the cards back on top of your library and then you like crack a Flooded Strand or a Polluted Delta. Yes, that's why those lands are so expensive. It's not just a mana fixer. It also helps shuffle garbage cards away that you put that are known information on top of your deck. So, but when you do that, it becomes Ancestral Recall, basically. I mean, you know, we always have bad cards in our hand, or we're flooding out or something. When you have Brainstorm in your deck, you don't mind to flood out. You just keep those cards in your hand. It's all good. So this card is actually really, it's a really good one. All right, so we're going to put it pretty high. Not the highest. Whoops. I'm going to have to work with this mode today. But it's definitely A tier. It's one of the best cantrips in the game. Hands down. D-Tai Gaming thinks Ponder is greater than Brainstorm. What are you, nuts? You know, well, let's see. How many formats is Brainstorm banned in? Just historic. I guess that's it. Let's look at Ponder. Okay, Ponder's going to be banned in Modern, but Brainstorm's not even legal in Modern. Didn't even get a chance. So banned in Modern, but not banned in Historic. I don't know if it's legal there, though. Okay, Ponder, 1 blue, sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put them back in any order. You may shuffle your library, draw a card. Now, it has a very similar strength to Brainstorm in that you get to look 3 cards deep. So if you're a combo deck or a control deck looking for very specific answers, or even tempo decks, like, it will get the job done. It is good for digging. However, you only really get one of those good cards. If there are like if there's 1 good card from the top 3 and 2 bad ones, you gotta keep the 2 bad ones. And there's nothing you can do about it unless you want to shuffle it all away. Why Ponder is legal in Legacy and restricted in Vintage? Because it's a cantrip. These cantrips, they are very good at digging for exactly what you want. It's the same thing with Brainstorm. They will dig to exactly what you need. I mean, you just fill your deck up with maybe, well, I don't know about 16 cantrips, but like some combo decks are absolutely going to love that. So Ponder it's a really good card. And if there was a tier, like, I don't know, A.2, maybe I would put it there. Like, it's definitely deserving of being around here. But it's not as good as Brainstorm. Brainstorm is the big daddy of all cards. I would never say we could have this card in Modern, for example, but I could see a world where we have Ponder. I mean, you could argue it could be here, but I think between these 2 cantrips, you can see the big power difference between the 2. Maybe we should have it here. It's just a tier 1. Because there's going to be so many cantrips that I'm going to find that are playable that I'm going to put here. It's like B is like playable, C is like bad, and then D will be jank. All right. You guys convinced me, but it's not on the same level as Brainstorm. Hugh Lee, Mental Misstep. This is going to be a very interesting tier list. Because when you think 1 blue, there's a lot of busted stuff for 1 blue. And if there was a Mental Misstep, it was definitely Mental Misstep itself. Okay, so for a Phyrexian, counter target spell with converted mana cost 1. You know what you can counter? You can counter Mana Dorks. You can counter other people's mental missteps. Because of the Phyrexian mana clause, you know, any deck can play this stupid thing, and any deck would. I mean, if you're playing Vintage, you can counter your opponent's So hold on, no, you can't counter target spell with. You can counter their ancestral recall, their brainstorm, their ponders. I guess we don't need to restrict all those cantrips. We got mental misstep, don't we? Actually, it's restricted in vintage. They restricted mental misstep in vintage. All right, just to make sure that all the decks don't look the same, I guess. This card sucks. Just play 2 drops. Yes, that's the way to play around mental misstep. They'll never beat it. They'll never be able to beat this. That strategy, mental misstep, is dead. So, well, because it's playable in any deck, and every deck will want to play it at least to counter opponent's mental missteps, it's actually an insanely broken card. Your opponent plays, I don't know, Deathrite Shaman or something on turn 1. Well, who cares? Mental misstep it. Mental misstep. Your socks off. Okay, so mental misstep is definitely S tier. I wonder how many S tier stuff we're going to have in the end. Okay, King Ginger seems to be very excited about Dispel. Solid counter spell. That will counter most of the cards on this tier list. That's all I got to say about that. Dispel is not bad. For 1 mana, you can counter like basically all the burn spells. You can counter it's a good anti-burn spell card. It's a good anti-counter spell card. So it's got a lot of playability. It's restricted, of course, to only the instance, but I mean that's still fine. It's for 1 mana and it's a great sideboard card. But it is not okay. We'll give it a B. It's like it's a good playable. It's okay. It's good. It's good. Oh no! Actually, do you know what? Knowing cards like this exist, we're gonna go down to C. Yeah, there are better cards for 1 blue. I'm not putting it there. Okay, C is like, this is a little bit more fringe. It's not like you have to. Everyone plays with this spell. Archaea. Ooh, Suspend. Suspend deserves more love. I will say that. 1 blue instant. Exile target creature and then put 2 time counters on it. If it doesn't have Suspend, it gains Suspend. At the beginning of its owner's upkeep, they remove a time counter. When the last is removed, they play it without paying its mana cost. If it's a creature, it has haste. Time moves in mysterious ways. Yes, it goes forward, mostly. So, this card, I've playtested this a decent chunk. It's quite nice as a removal spell if you need it, or as a protection spell. So if your opponent targets your own creature, you can, in response, suspend it, and boom, it's gone. But you also have the option of using it offensively if you want on your opponent's cards. You know, I forgot about this card. I actually probably should make more use out of this. Maybe I could use it even right now. Suspend. Totally forgot this card exists. It's not bad at all. So anyway, Suspend is certainly a playable to be proven, and that is why we're gonna put it in this. We're gonna put it in C tier. It's definitely not a bad card. But it's not a proven. It's not that great either. Matthew with the Spell Pierce. Matthew Ford with the Spell Pierce. This is actually a multi-format all-star. This has been around for a long time. Since the age of the Zendikar. An instant for 1 blue. Counter targets non-creature spell unless its controller pays 2. It's like a really good card for it's a really good card to deal with anything. Counters instants, sorceries, enchantments, artifacts, planeswalkers, you name it. So those early game planeswalkers, Wrenn and 6 to Fairy Time Raveler, gone. Those late game big bomb threats also can be gone. So it's it technically gets worse as the time goes on, but that's why you brainstorm. That's why you brainstorm these spell pierces away. But it is still can be useful very later in the game, and also can be fine in a counter spell war. Counter, I counter your counter, you counter my counter. Well, now you're tapped out, and I'll spell pierce your last counter spell. It's so versatile. It's been a classic of Magic the Gathering for ever since it was printed. It's been so good. Now, where do I put this thing? It's gonna have so much competition. It's at least B tier, but maybe it's an A tier card. But it's competing with, well, no, it's not competing with anything. I mean, there's other. I'm gonna put it A. You know what? I think it's a really good instant. That one's a really good one. It's a little less popular now because there are other options that you can play. You can play like Force Negation and stuff, but like it's still a very, very good card. Hedgeman wants to get Gitaxian Probe out of the way. You don't even need to play blue. S is just going to be also known as Phyrexian. S for Phyrexian. Okay, one Phyrexian, not really one blue. Look at target player's hand. Draw a card. And let us look at Gitaxian Probe's resumes. A lot of people would say, well, what's wrong with that? How good could that be? You know, if you showed this to, I don't know, a Pokemon TCG player, they'd be like, well, what's the big deal? And yet, it is banned in Modern, banned in Legacy, banned in Pauper, and restricted in Vintage. No, no, no. Don't be looking at my hand for free. No, 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 no. Yeah, being able to see your opponent's hand gives you the green light to combo off if you're a combo deck. It just gives you too much information. I'm telling you, Thoughtseize, Inquisition of Kozilek, all those cards, the real value, I want to say the real value, but a ton of value that goes completely missed is the fact that you can, you see your opponent's hand, and now you have you're playing with perfect information for at least that turn. So for that, Gitaxian Probe, a nasty card. It's funny how long we played with this card. For years before it got banned. Years! S tier. Easy. One of the easiest S tiers I can make today. Beanpot Thought Scour. That's a good one. Because that card... Ooh, that's a new art. A blue, instant, target player mills 2 cards, draw a card. Oh, yeah, that's the new text. The old text is target player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, then draw a card. Mainly is used to mill yourself, to fuel your graveyard and draw a card. Mainly. There are some niche situations where... There's some tutor, like you both tutor for a card and put it on top of your library, but then you can Thought Scour their card off. And, well, you know, so you get the advantage. But Thought Scour is... It's a good playable. That's all I'm going to say. It fuels some decks that want to use their graveyard. Not that it's even necessary anymore, but it's a playable. I'm going to put in the B tier. That is, Thought Scour has seen a lot of competitive play. So hopefully it's hasn't been retired yet. You know, traditionally Thought Scour was more popular before cards like Dragon Rage Chandler and that new Ledger Shredder. Like Ledger Shredder is sort of taking this thing's job away. Tito Borg, we got Preordain. Absolutely. Let's take a look at Preordain. Good. It's a very good instant. Sorry, it's a very good sorcery. A blue, 2 generic. Sorry, just a blue sorcery. Scry 2, then draw a card. So you look 2 cards deep. If you like the card, so you know it's like Ponder. You don't get to go that deep, but you get way better card selection for what you want, which is more important. And if you don't like any of the cards at all, you can scry them both to the bottom. Scry says you can put it on top, you can put it on the bottom. And so that's your choice. Keep them both on top, keep them both on the bottom. I think this is a very good blue cantrip. That sees no play in Modern because it's banned, but I can't say that it's better than Ponder, so we're going to put in the B tier. But it's a good one. I think it's that, and that's why I think it should be unbanned. It's not that good. Like, it's good. It's fine. We've got a lot of cantrips in here. Ho ho! Mystical Tutor. Burning Paper Sun. A lot of people. Does the sound of tutor annoy anyone? Tutor. I'm gonna tutor for this card. You like consistency? Are you scared of consistency? I'm gonna tutor for this. My deck is consistent. A blue instant. Search your library for an instant or sorcery card and reveal that card. Shuffle your library, then put the card on top of it. So, I mean, you can look for anything that you want. You can look for your Brainstorm. You can look for that one Ancestral Recall. Look for, I don't know, Treasure Cruise. Whatever you need. Sorry, it has to be an instant. Oh, no, or sorcery. Yeah, okay. I'm good. Yeah, Treasure Cruise is all good. It's all fair game. So, and for that... And it's only 1 blue. That's insane. Why do they think that these tutors at 1 mana were fair? There's nothing fair. I guess in their mind, it's like, well, it's like a tax on top of the original card that you play. So if your card costs 3 mana, well, now it's 4 mana because you're basically spending a mana to go get the card. I guess they completely, grossly underrated tutors back in the day. This is an old card. I mean, goes as far as Mirage here. Way back in once upon a time. Okay, but before we rank this, I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger. We quickly talk about our sponsors, FusionGamingOnline.com, my one-stop shop to buy all my paper Magic cards. I'm assembling a Pauper deck. I got the Ninja of the Deep Hours. I got all. Deal of the week this week. Save 15% off all Magic promos. So if you love watermarks, you love F&M promos or Judge promos, now's the time to get a big deal on some of those high-priced items. Save 15% off all Magic promos at FusionGamingOnline.com. Don't forget to use coupon code Nikachu, though. You get an additional 5% off, and you support the channel. And what's wrong with that? Who doesn't want to support the channel? We're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. Why would you want to do that? Because it's cheaper. Well, if you go through a lot of decks, that is. It's a banless saver. Your cards don't get banned. Mana Traders cards get banned. You get to play every deck in every format, and you get that competitive edge when you are renting with the pure Tier 1 decks. You can support the channel renting from Mana Traders using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 10% off your first 2 months using coupon code Nikachu_B2Q. And now back to our tier list. Where are we putting this? I think I want to put this S tier. I think this is an S tier quality card. This is just way too good. It's 1 blue. I like this tier list already. I'm having a lot of fun. I hate Ruin Crab. It triggers me in Commander if someone plays it and they're dying first. Oh, why? Because they mill your good cards away? Cards that trigger people like crazy. That's true, but Serum Visions digs deeper. I guess it depends on what the deck needs. What does Serum Visions do? Oh, was there another comparison over there? Okay, next. What's the next one we're doing? Swan Song! Kurama Boyka with the classic question marks. This was all the rage when this thing came out. So it's 1 blue, counter target enchantment, instant, or sorcery spell. Its controller creates a 2/2 blue bird creature token with flying. So it's like Spell Pierce, except it cannot hit the artifacts and it can't hit the planeswalkers, but it will counter it no matter what. It's a hard, super hard counter, and I actually saw a lot of competitive play. It should still see competitive play. There's just a lot of better options. Because you really need to counter those planeswalkers these days. But I think if we also consider Commander, which I would say probably depends on this card, stop all that janky nonsense that's going on over there. We can put this B tier. I think it should be higher if it was more playable in competitive Magic. But it's definitely a playable... It's definitely a playable card. Maybe some more things about it. It doesn't see as much play in competitive Magic because, like, if you use it early, the 2/2 bird can really kill you. And I think, but in Commander, you know, the 2/2 bird, who cares? It's only one person who gets a bird anyway. No big deal. Woe says, what about... Let's consider. Nikachu, did you consider? No, not yet. Blue, instant. Look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard, draw a card. The value of this card, above almost any other cantrip, is that it is instant. So that is the beauty of this one. For 1 blue, you get to, you know, basically manipulate the top card of your library, dig to what you want, and essentially digs 2 cards deep at instant speed. Whoops. Change the music, otherwise the show gonna go on for a very long time. This tier list, it gonna fill up. Considers a good playable card. Where did it go? Oh, did it... Did I not... Didn't get a snapshot of this. Okay, what am I doing here? Let's see. B or C? B or C? I guess we could put that as a B. It's C's play. It's instant. Not bad. It's not terrible. Thea says, thoughts on Twiddle? You're really gonna make me do this? Can we get a better picture of Twiddle? Whatever, this one's fine, I guess. It's a blue instant. Tap or untap. Target artifact, creature, or land. It's a combo card, but it like has one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to untap. What is it called? Lotus Field? Because it has hexproof. So it enters the battlefield tapped, and then you can tap this for 3 mana. Because it's basically it's an infinite generating Black Lotus is what Lotus Field is. It's ridiculous. There's nothing else I can say about that. When you see this thing in action, it's like the goose that lays golden eggs for eternity. And the way you abuse it is with Twiddle, because you can tap this for 3 mana, and it's hexproof, but you can untap it because it's a land, and so Twiddle untaps the thing. But it's really, really niche. It's super ridiculously niche, but it's it's a playable card. So I think this card could be higher in power level, but I'm gonna put it at C. I think this is a good card, but it's just too narrow in its application. Oh, it has one other purpose, I guess, but it's like a pretty garbage purpose. It can untap Time Vault. So you can play Time Vault, enters the battlefield tapped. Doesn't untap unless you want to skip a turn. So you twiddle this thing, untap it, and then you get to take an extra turn. Jose with the super chat. Spellstare, Stifle, Dispel. Oh, you only get one. You only get one. We're going to go with... I always go with the first one people say. Spell Snare. This used to be a staple of Modern because there was a lot more 2-drops, and now like there's just a lot more 1-drops and 3-drops, so it doesn't see nearly as much play. But I think actually it's a good card. For 1 mana, you hit like a huge range, a huge chunk of cards. That is, I mean, like, hey, there's a lot of 2-mana cards out there, people. There's a lot of 2-mana cards out there. So I'm gonna give it a B. Give it a B, but it's sliding just because it's just not seeing as much play. It's too bad. So you can look at what we've ranked so far. Does Opt have to be the same as Consider? Okay, we've got Consider. Look at the top card library. We put that card into your graveyard. Opt is different. Opt is a strictly worse version of Consider. Because you scry 1, but then you don't put it into your graveyard, so it doesn't feel your graveyard. I mean, I guess the upside to this is you're not going to feel someone's Tarmogoyf. But it's like so damn similar to Consider. I'm just going to make it a little bit of a baby brother here. Here, you guys can be together. Together forever. Serum Vision. Man, they keep making these blue cantrips. Cantrips for days. 1 blue, draw a card, scry 2. So you don't get to sculpt your hand with this card. You do get to look 3 cards deep, though. So you'll draw a card, and then you'll scry 2, so you'll get 2 more cards deeper into your library. So it's like reverse Ponder in some way. You get the card first, then you get to dig later. But because you dig later, you may not get the card that you want in your hand that very turn. So it is still like pretty decent for combo decks because digging deep is essentially what you want anyway. But for basically every other deck, they can't stand waiting 1 more turn for their card. So it is definitely a much weaker. Much weaker. Where are we going to put this if Ponder and Brainstorm's up there? I put Preordain up there. Okay, so we're going to put this over here in C tier. I don't even know how much play it sees these days. Donald's High Tide. I actually can't evaluate this card. I think it's good. I think. Let's look at where's, oh, here it is. There's the real High Tide. Until end of turn, whenever a player taps an island for mana, that player adds an additional mana. This works for your opponents? What? Oh, I had no idea. This thing can backfire on you. It's not, it's like only banned in Pauper. Oh, I have no idea what it did in Pauper. Must have been nasty. Oh, it's probably for it was probably a great combo card or something like that. But perfectly legal in Legacy and Vintage to play all the High Tides you want. So you have to abuse this in some High Tide deck that untaps all their lands. They play they play spells that get to untap their lands, and basically they float a bunch of mana. That's how I guess that's how you abuse it. It's okay, I guess. Do you know what? Okay, we're gonna put C as niche playable or like low power card. So I'm gonna put High Tide in C. I think it's not that easy to pull off, and it can backfire when your opponent has something. Oh, Troll King. Pikachu, how about Miscast? Does that see play anywhere? Miscast. What is this? Blue, instant. Character instant or sorcery spell unless its controller pays 3. Niche, very niche playable counterspell. I actually played this in a GP before. Or I guess it wasn't technically a GP, but I played this in an open event in my sideboard. It's like Dispel, but you get to hit sorceries. It's a love child between like Spell Pierce and Dispel. So it's a playable, but it's pretty niche. You can hang out with you can actually hang out with Dispel. Uh-oh, the C tier is filling up. And this show has a long way to go. Delver of Secrets! Not a spell. Well, technically a spell, but not an instant or sorcery. One day we'll do 1 mana blue creatures. One day. What do we not have? Oh, Blue Elemental Blast. Nice. Let's look at Blue Elemental Blast. We're gonna look at Blue Elemental Blast. It counters red. What I love is that it can hit permanents. Blue doesn't have a whole lot of cards like that, where you like snipe off. Come on. There we go. One blue instant. Counter target red spell or destroy target red permanent. So those Swift Spears that got under the radar, no, not anymore. You thought you could escape me, could you? And that's any red permanent. It can hit planeswalkers, it can hit the creatures, enchantments. It's beautiful. I really wish we had this in modern. This as far as I'm concerned, this is like the glue that holds Pauper together. Otherwise, I don't know, maybe the burn decks would just run away with the game. It's such a good card in Pauper. So good. Okay, we'll make it A tier. It's a removal spell practically. How many of these cards are like counterspell and removal spell all at once? And we've got the super chat. Thank you so much for the 20. Portent. Isn't that like a really poor card? Portent. This is like a really poor man's Ponder. Okay, 1 blue. Look at the top 3 cards of target player's library, which doesn't have to be yours, then put them back in any order. You may have that player shuffle their library, draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. Ah, yes, the delayed Ponder. It actually saw some play in Legacy, believe it or not, because it would sometimes be valuable to stack a Terminus on top of, I think it was, yeah, so you draw a card for your turn, so you can't Terminus on your turn after you've found one, but what you do is you use Portent to stack Terminus on top of your deck, wait till your opponent's turn, then you draw your card, then you can Miracle it and wipe out the board. Or, you know, Miracle anything. You could Miracle anything that you want. So, niche playable card. I would say, well, if Ponder's up there, you know what? I think this would be pretty good. I don't know where this would go. Maybe this is... You get no card on your turn, but you look 3 cards deep. And it's so close to Ponder. No, you don't get the card. We're putting you in C. You need the card that turn, unless your deck completely operates at instant speed. Alright, we're in overlapping territory now. The cards are going on top of other cards. Whoa, with the super chat. Just want to say it's good to be back while you're streaming. Also, how about Careful Steady? Ho ho ho! How about Careful Steady? You know what I like about you guys? When you start super chatting, it makes other people realize, oh, I can pay to get on this show. The power of the super chat. Don't worry, I still look at the regular comments too. Careful Study. 1 blue. Draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards from your hand. How many people think this is fair? How many people think this is fine? Who wants this in Modern? There's got to be a huge chunk of people that want this card in Modern. So it's still legal in Pauper, though. That's interesting. Is this card making any like waves in Pauper? Is this like a Pauper staple in any capacity? Careful Study for Modern Horizons. Most powerful card, the credit card. Absolutely. I don't know if it's 1 blue. I see like a MasterCard or a Visa more like an artifact for 1 or 2 mana. I play Careful Study in Pauper. Love the card. Lord Magica says shred. I never saw it make any problems. Alright, well, they don't got the enablers though. Okay, what do I have to say about this card? On turn 1, you discard graveyard cards. You can put Arclight Phoenix in the graveyard. You could put Dredge cards in the graveyard. And also, this is the type of card, at least drawing 2, you can like dredge a bunch of times. 1 mana dredge cards, I don't trust them. I don't like it. So you're never discarding. Like, the whole deal is if you're playing Careful Study, you're going to play it in a deck that's going to put cards in the graveyard that's going to come back. Like Arclight Phoenix. Apparently I'm not spelling something right. Or, Vengevine. Something to that degree. Not necessarily has to be like both of these in the same deck, but the point is like whatever you put in the graveyard is not really gone. It's going to come back. You're still going to get value. So you got the 2 cards that you drew and you get that graveyard synergy. Easy A tier. I think this is a good A tier. Yeah, I'm going to put this in A tier. It doesn't really... Yeah, A tier. I'm done. For a blue card. You know, comparing it to Faithless Looting. Faithless Looting is above and beyond stupid. Oh, this is a cute one. Piracy Charm. Hey, Piracy Charm. I'm always looking at this card every, like, I don't know, 6 months. Can I play it now? Can I play it now? Is it playable now? Target creature gains Island Walk until end of turn. That one's not really impressive, to be honest. But this one is. Target creature gets +2/-1 until end of turn. Do you know what that means? Dead Ragavans. Dead Dragon Rage Channelers. Sometimes I don't know, they took enough they didn't take enough damage, so you can kill it after combat. So this thing is, I think this is playable. I think it's a playable card, but it doesn't see any play right now because it's just way too situational. I think the target player discards a card could be useful because as you get later and later in a game, the best cards are still stuck in their hands, so make them discard them. But sees no play, so you're going to be our first D. First D. The Jank Pile. Did we not talk about... Yeah, we haven't talked about Flusterstorm yet. Piracy Charm looks playable in something, not sure what. Yeah, that's the problem. It looks playable. This has got to be... It has to go somewhere. It's blue. It's an instant. It's got a great art. It's got 3 modes on it, for crying out loud. 3 modes! Yeah, it has no home. Flusterstorm, 1 blue, instant, counter target instant or sorcery spell unless its controller pays 1, and it's got Storm. So the idea is this was supposed to protect us from Storm decks, although Storm decks can also play this card to re-counter all the Flusterstorms from the opponent. So it doesn't exactly work out that way. It has a big disadvantage in that it can't target artifacts, enchantments, or planeswalkers. So that sucks, but it does hit. It's a decent like counter spell for burn cards. It's a really good in a counter war, really, really good. Because counter your counter, counter your counter, counter your counter. Okay, now my Flusterstorm will counter everything. Good luck, buddy. So in that case, it's good. Also good versus Cascade decks. So it's been a good playable for quite some time. But not overly busted. Not overly busted. You know what? I put it in Swan Song territory here. It's a decent staple. Aquatex Will. Hold on. Yeah, that actually works. I was about to put the buzzer on, but I was like, isn't that an enchantment? No, it's not an enchantment. It's actually a sorcery. Put a flood counter on target land. That land is an island in addition to its other types for as long as it has a flood counter on it. If you control a merfolk, draw a card. This card is Supreme Jank. It's a quite poor card because it does not change. I mean, you gain Island Walk, but there's better ways of doing that. The main problem for this card is that it's an addition to its other land type, so it never really saw play. And if you don't have a merfolk in play, then you don't draw a card. It's real garbage. Sophia with Stifle. Oh, I love that card. I've never had so much fun with a tier list. This is like, it's also like, it's a toolbox of cards I could maybe play in my decks. Stifle works great with Lotus Field and skips Saga Steps, but also can counter fetch land activated abilities. It does everything, really. Primeval Titan enters the battlefield. Counter that. Activate Planeswalker. Counter that. No, nothing. Something triggers. Counter that. What's everything that we can... What are really good things that we can stifle? Of course, there are fetch lands. So I'm going to bring it out to the chat here. We could have a little conversation about Stifle, because I would really like to see this card in Modern. It's not Modern legal because it was never printed in a Modern legal set. What would you want to stifle? I know I specifically want to stifle things like Primeval Titan activations, maybe... Yeah, you could counter Boseiju, which actually would suck. Ooh. So there's a lot of people who have Stifle specifically just to hit Thassa's Oracle in Commander. You could also do that in Modern, too. Yeah, if the player drains their deck to go Thassa's Oracle. Stifle! Got ya! Now what are you gonna do? Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Oh, counter... I think... Do you know what? I don't think that would work, Beanpot. I think you'd only be able to counter one trigger, and there was like a million of them. So you... Oh, the evoke triggers! Yes! Two for one yourself. I stifle the, deal 4 damage to me, or, take my card out of my hand, or, leave my graveyard alone, leave my creatures alone, and then you lose that thing. That would be so good. Man, that Stifle was a way to keep this card in check when they made Modern Horizons 2. Of course, the fetch lands. Stifle Ragavan, can you do that? Oh, I guess the trigger when it hits you? Seems like a poor ability, though. Yeah, Stifling Evoke is just, that is... My brain is just firing on all angles right now at the thought of that. Stifle counters that blue illusion card that skips your turn when it enters play and gives you a turn when it leaves play. I have no idea what that card is. But yeah, you could do that. You could stifle, I guess, some like feel bad cards when it enters the battlefield for yourself. Technically, you can stifle a storm trigger so it doesn't get the copies. Excellent. That is that's a super Flusterstorm at that point. But you can stifle your own evokes. Yeah, but they already do that with Ephemerate, basically. So it's even better. So like creature enters the battlefield, they ephemerate it. That's how it's being abused right now. And then you get an extra, so now the sacrifice part doesn't matter anymore, and they get double the ETBs. Plus, Ephemerate's going to come back and blink it again. So, like, stifling the evoke is not the worst. Stifling, like, the sacrifice part, I'd be happy if they use stifle that way. Super thrilled. Okay, so where does stifle belong? Oops. Stifle's a great card. Very, very good card. A tier. Easy A tier. Would love to see it in Modern. Robert! Thank you so much for the super chat. Rune Crab is my favorite card in Zendikar Limited. Ooh. You know, we could rank this based on its limited playability. Rune Crab actually is a good card. Thanks to Rune Crab and the other crab, that Mill is even playable at all. Because if you have fetch lands, this card becomes like... I want to put it's like the lands are burn spells because your library is your life total. Landfall. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent mills 3 cards. So if you have multiples of these on the battlefield in combination with the other crab, escapes my name at the moment, you can very easily mill them out. That's the only way I lose to mill, frankly, because they get these creatures out early, and I can't counterspell them at that point. I can interact with the actual mill cards. I can counter the mill cards, but I can't deal with the creatures unless I have removal. And I don't usually, so Rune Crab just actually runs away with the game. This is actually a very good card. And it was proven that if you have multiples of these, it's lethal. So we can put this in B tier. This is just a very playable... Oh, eliminated! Hold on. This is a creature. It's a creature. Disqualified. Come back when we talk about creatures. But thanks for the super chat anyway. Yeah. I only noticed it once I was putting it right next to all these beautiful instants and sorceries. So Rune Crab is okay, but not Delver? No. No, they all get the X. Yeah, no permanence. Unless it makes permanence. Rainwater. Is that a card? I'd never heard of it. I wanna find out. Rainwater. No. Okay. Force Spike. That's a card. I'm so happy this sees play in Pauper, because I used to play this a long time ago. It'd be interesting if this was in Modern. It probably would not see a whole... Maybe it would see play. I doubt it. It's too mana efficient of a format. But it's counter-target spell unless its controller pays 1. I don't think so, says the flavor text. So this is it's a flexible counter, counters anything, but forces your opponent to hold up the 1, which is pretty easy to do unless you're in Pauper where it's really clunky. But actually, this card also can be dead. People play around it in Pauper. It's a very nice, unique card. We can put it in, but it's not that good, to be honest. It just happens to work in Pauper pretty well. I'm gonna put it in C tier. C tier is filling up. I saw Pongify, Troy. Yeah, let's go with Pongify. Pongify / rapid hybridization. Personally, I like Pongify because it's got a big ape on it. Here, have a dirty ape. 1 blue, instant, destroy target creature. It can't be regenerated. Its controller creates a 3/3 green ape creature token. So I'm gonna buff this one up for Commander. There's very few ways to destroy creatures in blue, like especially if you're mono blue. There's just not much. You have Pongify, rapid hybridization. You have a few exile cards. It's really slim picking, so you have to take what you can get. And for 1 blue and just giving them a 3/3 ape, not bad. In competitive play, well, this saw play in standard, and you could use it to like destroy your opponent's bigger threats, but you could also use it on your own creatures. If someone uses a removal spell on your creature, well, for 1 blue, you can upgrade it into a 3/3 ape and keep the attacking coming. So, it's actually quite a nice card. I wish it saw actual play in Modern, or it'd be interesting if that was legal in Pauper, but because it's a pretty good staple. Okay, because competitive play is gonna pull this one back, but I'll put it in B tier because it is so good in Commander. It's almost necessary. It's almost necessary. So it's Commander pulls it up. Peak, the worst version of Gitaxian Probe. 1 blue. Look at target player's hand. Draw a card. I like it, but it's just really niche. Paying 1 mana for this effect apparently is too much mana. Way too much. But it has all the... It's funny. It has all the power of Gitaxian Probe, but it costs 1 mana. Even though it's at instant speed, it becomes, like, almost unplayable. So we'll put this in the... Again, we're filling up C tier. There's a lot of mediocre cards here. Can we move up higher? This, we'll put all the space down here is all C tier. Not a lot of D tier cards. For blue, it's all good. Chain of Vapors, you people, what is Chain of Vapors? I know what the card is. You all seem to love it. Huge fans of Chain of Vapors. Chain of... Oh, Vapor. Come on, Scryfall. Where's the original? I want to see the original art. So 1 blue, return target in non-land permanent to its owner's control. But here's the deal. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Then that player's controller may sacrifice a land. If the player does, they may copy the spell and may choose new targets for the copy. Now, this can't go on for forever because people are going to run out of lands at one point. But, you know, it's a good cube card, is what I'll say. Outside of that, I don't think it is competitive at all. This is... I actually think this is a jank card. This is not broken anywhere, right? Yeah. Okay. Just to be sure, I think this sees nowhere. This thing sees to play nowhere except cube, because it would just backfire on you too easily. What decks don't have lands? Ceremonious Rejection. Thanks so much, 1 of 1 king. Chain of Vapor is a commander staple, is it? Is it commander? Is it a CEDH staple, though? Ceremonious Rejection. Alright, Ceremonious Rejection is a barely playable counterspell. It's, you know what, honestly, it's a good counterspell when it's good. I'm gonna put in B. Yeah, I'm gonna squeeze it off in B. It's like when you... No, but it's not like a staple. Yeah, I'm gonna put in C. It is a really good counterspell, though. Counter target's colorless spell. Let's just talk about this for a second. Colorless spell, that means Eldrazi's. Thought-Knot Seers, Matter Reshapers, Reality Smashers, but also the artifacts, any artifact that you can name. You know, whether it be... It can hit Soul Ring for crying out loud. So Soul Ring can hit Time Vaults. Don't know why that's the only one that's coming up to my head or whatever. But Ceremonious Rejection is a very, very strong counterspell, but it's really, really niche. It's just really good. It's a good card to have in your sideboard. So it's definitely in the lines of things like Dispel, where, you know, in the right situation you want to play it, but it's not like a stock card or anything like that. Okay, everyone's like, Nikisha doing his best to avoid talking about Ancestral Recall. Well, I never catch it when you guys talk about it. Okay, Ancestral Recall. Perhaps the big daddy of all daddies of 1 mana blue instance. Target player draws 3 cards. Wouldn't you like 3 cards? This is, you know, since they printed Ancestral Recall, they just tried to print worse versions. You know, they printed Treasure Cruise, they printed Brainstorm, they printed Ponder. Everything flew from this one. It's interesting. If it was 1 blue, draw 2 cards. Well, we have a lot of cards that are like that, I guess. Brainstorm might have turned into like 1 blue, draw 2 cards and put 1 card back on top of your deck. Anyway, this is hands down, like probably the best blue card ever printed for 1 blue. And it's an instant. And you can give the cards to your opponents if you really needed to. What an insanely flexible card. Super S tier. Then you can Mystical Tutor for... let's look at this hand. You can Gitaxian Probe your opponent, see that they have a Mental Misstep, then you Mystical Tutor for your Ancestral Recall, and then when they Mental Misstep your Recall, you Mental Misstep that Mental Misstep. The game plays itself. Anyway, Ancestral Recall, best. The best! The best there ever will be. Turn Aside. What does this even do? Oh, this is that new one. Blue, instant. Counter target spell that targets a permanent you control. Does this see any play in Commander? Is this like a Commander staple in any way? Like, I can see it being someone wanting it. Counter target spell that targets a permanent you control, but it's only one permanent. Seems like garbage to me. Seems like absolute trash. I don't know, maybe it's a Commander staple, though. No? Ooh, Nyx! Let's look at Nyx. This deserves more love. There it is. Blue, instant. Counter target spell if no mana was spent to cast it. This is a very interesting card, because it'd be more playable than ever right now. If anyone's trying to play a Solitude, Fury, Endurance, Grief, boop! Nyx it for 1 mana. You didn't spend any mana on that. Too bad. No mana was spent. You know what would make this even more playable? If it'd be like counter target spell if the full mana cost of the card wasn't paid or something like that. Alas, it sees no play. Nothing. Straight to D tier you go. Ah, we're filling up the D tier. It's that time where we start, where we're running out of blue instants, I guess. Index. That's a terrible card, isn't it? Isn't that like look at top 5 cards and put them back? Yeah. Blue, sorcery. Look at the top 5 cards of your library, then put them back in any order. You know how bad this card is? This is, like, at least a lot of these cards here. Like, I could see the D tier is, like, really bad cards, but in some very niche situation would be playable. Index belongs in its own world. Straight down here. This is where Index goes. Goodbye, Index. No one will ever know you existed. Robert with the super chat. Sorry about the crab earlier. I suck at reading. How about artificial evolution? Hey, you paid, so for as long as you keep super chatting creatures, I'll keep taking the money. Artificial evolution. Oh, I don't even know this card exists. Okay, so we've got a blue instant. Change the text of target spell or permanent by replacing all instances of one creature type with another. The new creature type can't be a legend or wall. Why not? What's wrong with a wall? Anyway, artificial evolution. This is change the text of target spell or permanent by replacing all instances of one creature type. So you can change creature types. That's what you're telling me. I'll tell you where this belongs. It's got a home, and it's gonna keep Index company down here, right here. Oh, okay. See, they're right next to each other. This is artificial evolution. This is Index. Just keep that in mind, everyone. Didgeridoo your Emrakul into play? Yeah, you can do that. No, you. Oh yeah, that's what you can do that with artificial evolution, I guess. Fading Hope. Isn't that just like the bounce spell? We don't have many bounce spells on this list. Return target creature to its owner's hand if its mana value is 3 or less. Scry 1. It can't bounce anything, which I don't like. But the whole Scry 1... Oh, so no, sorry. It can bounce... I keep misreading this card. It can bounce anything, but if its mana value is 3 or less, you Scry 1. So basically, if someone was like cheating on mana... Like, you know, if someone's using mana, like those cheaper mana cost stuff, then you get a little bit of a benefit out of it. I think it's a good playable card. Does it see any play anywhere, though? Ugh. I'm filling up C tier. I think the bar is like something like Vapor Snag. Oh, we got a lot of mediocre blue spells here. I could see this being a B tier card if you really wanted it to. I could see it. Like if it picks up play in, I don't know if it sees play in Pauper, maybe not. It's played in Standard? That's not good enough for me. Show and Tell, that's 3 mana. Spy Network. I never heard of it, so it's probably terrible. We've got, for 1 blue, look at target player's hand, the top card of that player's library, and any face-down cards he or she controls. Look at the top 4 cards of your library, then put them back in any order. God, that's awful. It's basically, I A slightly worse index. It's slightly worse index, but you can look at, I don't know, face down cards of everything else. Where are you guys? You're over here? There you go. I need another tier for just absolute garbage. Mystic Remora. I'm not, oh, enchantment. No, don't count. Has to be instant or sorcery. Unsummon. I think Unsummon is in the same realm as Fading Hope. They're almost identical. Yeah, that's an enchantment. Yeah, we need the J tier. The J tier. You're right, Robert. Flash Flood. There's real. Hold on. There's one off the top of my head I know that hasn't been mentioned yet. I guess it's the same as another one though. Oops. Okay. Flash Flood blue. Choose one. Destroy target red permanent or return target mountain to its owner's hand. That's interesting. I never heard of a card like this. It's basically 1 mana like boomerang, but for mountains. Destroy target red permanent or return target land. That is really interesting. That is not terrible. I was just thinking, like, we haven't taught, we mentioned blue elemental blast, but no one talked about hydro blast. You get to destroy red permanents. You can bounce a mountain. I'll put it in C tier, even though it's never seen play before, or probably has never seen play before. I think destroying red permanents is still useful. Ugh, but it doesn't counter anything. Okay, D tier it goes. Running out of room here. Yeah, I'll put it on top of Aquatex Will. I guess if anyone mentions Hydroblast, it just goes underneath Blue Elemental Blast. More or less. You know what? I'll allow this one. I actually like this card a lot. It's one of my favorite cards. Oh, they might not have it on here. Do they have those janky unset cards? Maybe not. Ah, damn it. They don't. Jump? Did we really run out of cards? I doubt it. Okay, we've got Jump. Target creature gains flying until end of turn. Goes directly into indexed here. There we go. It's an indexed here over there. What do we've got? Abjure! Another card I've never heard of. I think I'm just going to fill up the D tier. Sacrifice a blue permanent, counter target spell. That's terrible. Counter target spell. At least it counters a spell, so I'll put it in D tier. Guess you can counter it. You can sacrifice a token. Which would not be brutally terrible. There we go. Oh, what'd I do? Where'd this thing go? I think it disappeared. Oh, there we go. It's on top. Is Winter... I think Winter's Chill is an X spell, right? Pretty sure Winter's Chill is an X spell, yeah. Quicken! Oh, that's an interesting one. Quicken. Draw a card, play instant spells. It's not terrible. Sorry, play sorcery spells like the next sorcery card you cast this turn can be cast as though it had flash. Draw a card. So it's not going to hang out with index, but it's going to hang out... Like, it's so niche. Or how good is it? Maybe... Nah, I gotta put it with Nyx and all this other garbage here in the D tier. Okay, you can barely see it over here. Some CEDH players like Abjure. I would, you know what? I could see it. I could totally see it. And maybe if I understood how impactful it is in CEDH, maybe I should put it higher. If this... Okay, does this see play in CEDH at all? Is this like a CEDH staple of any sort? I could put it in C. Oh, Visions of Beyond. Okay, let's okay, I'm gonna keep this in D. But if it sees really good commander play, I can understand. But you need to be a deck that uses permanents or whatever. Visions of Beyond. The mill staple. So blue, 1 blue, instant, draw a card. If a graveyard has 20 or more cards in it, draw 3 cards instead. So if you, and I think there are some self-milling cards that also play Visions of Beyond really, really well. So yeah, this actually does see quite a good chunk of actual play. So in a mill deck, it can become Ancestral Recall, which is disgusting. I can put this in B tier. It has been a playable card. It is a staple of like a lot of those decks. Nicholas with the super chat. No X blue mana spells, but they have CMC1. What about Mind's Aglo? Correct. No X spells. That'll be for another day. Mind's Aglo? I don't even know what this is. Does anyone know what Mind's Aglo is before we even look? 1 blue sorcery. Join forces. Starting with you, each player may pay any amount of mana. Each player draws X cards, where X is the total amount of mana paid this way. What the? Starting with you, each player may pay any amount of mana. Each player draws X cards, where X is the total amount of mana paid this way. This looks... You know what? Is this really broken? I guess not. It's like 1 mana Stroke of Genius. It's a 1 mana Stroke of Genius, right? Because basically X is as much mana as you can spend, but you ideally are going to cast this when your opponents are tapped out, and you're the only one that can take the benefit out of it. Commander Group Hug staple. I could see this as a pretty good card. Well, no, but it's sorcery, so it's not. It doesn't even have the Stroke of Genius power. Starting with you, each player... It's legal in Legacy, too. It's funny. It's legal in Legacy. I guess, but it's just too hard to make work. Alright, we're going to, I guess... I'm going to put this in the... No, I can't put it in C tier. Gotta put in the D tier here. Mind's Aglo. It's not terrible. I don't think it's terrible. Or I guess D is for the terrible cards, but you know, I see it. It's got a world somewhere here. All right, what have we not? Personal Tutor? Is that a second tutor card? Oh! Search your library for a sorcery card, reveal that card, shuffle your library, then put that card on top. $86! Because it only came from Portal. It's one of those Portal exclusive cards. It's basically Mystical Tutor. Sorcery Speed Mystical Tutor. Search for source. Oh no, search your deck for a sorcery and reveal that card to all players. It's still pretty good. It's a tutor. It's a 1 mana tutor. I love it. Okay, so it can't find instants, which is a huge bummer. But I think actually this is a very strong card. I put in A tier for sure. That's an A tier worthy card. 1 mana tutors are like really, really strong. Oh, but you guys have super chats. Mind's Aglo works best when you get most benefit. Yes, of course. And we've got Robert with the super chat. Broken Dam for the stanky memes. Broken Dam. Tap any one or two creatures without horsemanship. I appreciate your super chat. And we will put Broken Dam with Index. And the other janky cards here. You can see them. They're right here. Never forget the super jank. It's all down there. Alright, that's our tier list for today. We missed a few cards, but, you know, I think some of them that we missed are basically in the same vein. You know, things like Vapor Snag, Unsummon are going to be very similar to Fading Hope. We had Hydro Blast is like very similar to Blue Elemental Blast. But I think we basically got everything else. more or less the most important cards. Like every 1 mana blue instant and sorcery of its own category, more or less. Nikshu, everyone draws, even those who don't pay. Oh my god! Mine's Aglo. Starting with you, each player may pay any amount of mana. Each player draws X card. Good god! Okay, I don't know if that's good or bad now. I can't tell if that's makes that a better card or worse card. Anyway, that's insane. Okay, I completely misunderstood that card. Thank you so much, Pejman. But you know what? You were too late to the party. A bunch of people already told me in the comments section that I'm an idiot, so it's too late. But you hear that music. That's it for Coffin MTG. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had a lot of fun going through this tier list, as much as I did. If you want to join the show, you can be here. 8 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, Monday to Friday. Be there or be square. Thanks so much, everyone, for the joining, becoming a member of the channel, becoming part of the coffee crew, and all the super chats. I appreciate it so much. Lets me know to keep doing this every single weekday to get part of that action. But the most important, thank you, everyone who shows up every morning, because without you guys, I would have no show here. You guys are the show. You contribute so much. You know it. You can say, I did that. I was part of that show. I made that show, because it's true. So keep brewing up those coffees, and we will keep brewing up the magic. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you at the next cup.